Hi, AT from CNC at Home. It's that time of year again. It's Buck Frenzy. And we do all sorts of things, fun things. We do different projects, games, hiking, camping, all sorts of stuff. My friend Joel had an idea, and he thought we should do t-shirts this year. He was having trouble with his laser cutting through to make the templates or the stencils that we wanted, and he asked if I could give it a try. So he sent over a PDF file, and I threw it into Lightburn and burned the stencils. What I want to go through is how that process works, reading in a PDF and preparing it to burn on the laser. To start with, we import the PDF file. And this is what it looks like. If I open the PDF file itself, it looks like this, just a basic file. Joel did some really nice graphics. He made sure that all the letters stay together with, they're not really tabs, but with stenciling, you need to make sure that all of the letters stay together and don't fall apart when they burn. He did a really good job on the skull or the deer head. If we zoom in on this, you'll see all this detail. Where it's black, that's what's going to get burned out, and where it's white, that's where everything stays connected. I thought the detail was great, but too much detail for what we were doing, especially on this smaller one. It turns out that it worked really well, surprisingly well. Now that we have the file opened up in Lightburn, I want to burn this on just regular paper, so I need to get this one at a time set up for 8.5 by 11 paper. The cardstock that Joel dropped off was quite a bit heavier, and I was able to burn through it, but it was extremely slow. That's why I wanted to just do this 8.5 by 11 on standard 20-weight paper. The main reason for doing the 8.5 by 11 is just for time's sake. I was able to burn that approximately 7 times faster. So here's how we do this. First thing we want to do is get rid of this top graphic. So we delete it. As you notice, when I select that, I always go from right to left, and that way it'll grab an entire object. If you go from left to right, it will only grab objects that are completely within your selection area. So I always go from right to left, grab the whole thing, press delete, it's gone. Now to select the rest of this, I press Control A, and then I just put that down in the lower left corner. The next thing I want to do is resize this. I want the width to fit inside my 8.5 by 11 paper, so I'm going to set it to 10.5 inches, which we can just type in. Even though I'm using millimeters within Lightburn, I type 10.5 either with IN for inches or the quote marks for inches, and it does the conversion for me. Now I want to set my parameters, so I'm going to go into my library and find my 0.13, which is a 20-weight paper, and let's take a look at those parameters real quick. Have it set to 800 millimeters per minute at 100% power, and just one pass. And that usually works fairly well. What I did notice on this particular burn was some of the things weren't cutting completely out, so I slowed it down just a little bit to 700 millimeters per inch, or millimeters per minute. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this layer to my project and make a slight change here and make that 700 because I know that's going to work better. That's really all there is to it. It's all set to go. Let's do a quick preview either by clicking here or pressing Alt-P. And in the preview, we can just rewind this and take a look at how it's going to burn. Okay, it just burns each one of the pieces of the letters as we scroll through this. Looks pretty good. We see that it's going to take about 5 minutes, 11 seconds. It's really more like 5.5 minutes. But that's a lot faster than trying to cut that thicker cardstock. Now that we have this, we just go ahead and save it and then send it to the laser. We'll also want to get the other template set up, so we can just start a new project and do it just like we did the other one. Bring in the PDF file. This time we'll delete the lower image, and we'll take the upper image, put it down in the lower left corner. And then we'll need to resize this, so we can type in our 10.5 inches, have it convert that. And our settings look like they're still set to what we need from last time, so we don't need to change that. So we just need to save it. It's all set, ready to go. Now with the laser, I'm going to use the frame option, the circle one, not the square one, and I hold down the shift key when I click that. That engages the laser, and this gives me a good idea of where my image is going to be. That looks good, everything's aligned. Let's go ahead and start the burn. And to save time, let's just speed this up. Okay, here's the end of the burn. Let's move the laser gantry out of the way so we can take a close look at this. I have these 9-volt batteries on the back and a little chunk of metal in the front, and that helps hold the paper down. You'll also notice that underneath the green paper, I have a second piece of paper. It's just a white piece of paper. What I've found, because I don't have air assist on my laser at this time, having that piece of paper underneath helps reduce some of the scoring on burning through this. Now that I've cleaned the template out, we can see that it's worked really well. All of our pieces are held together, and this should work well as a template or a stencil for this t-shirt project. We're going to do the same process for the other template. Just do a quick frame, again holding the shift key down when we select that, so we can follow the laser around and make sure that it's in the paper the way that we want it. It looks good, so let's go ahead and start the burn. Okay, you notice that little stutter there. The first template I did at 800 millimeters per minute, and I wanted to slow that down. I started this burn and remembered I forgot to make that change at that point, so I stopped it, changed it to 700 millimeters per minute, then restarted the burn. I didn't really mind that it was cutting that same area again. The 700 millimeters per minute worked quite a bit better with this particular paper than the 800 did. So most of this fell out pretty easily. There were still a few things I had to grab the X-Acto knife and cut out. Okay, let's pull this out, get all that stuff cleared out, and see how this template turned out. And we'll get the chunk of metal and those two 9-volt batteries out of the way. Give this stencil a little shake, get all those pieces out of there. This one turned out well. We just clean this up and set that stencil back down so you can take a longer look at it. Looks good. Okay, Mr. G, you got to explain the process here.
Oh, where's my spray adhesive? I got a spray adhesive. The back of the stencil.
Okay, so you put spray adhesive on the back of the stencil.
Like so.
Okay.
Alright, Brian, this one was yours?
Yeah.
Lay it down on the center of the shirt like so. Press it down.
So this is just a mask.
Keep the blow by from getting our shirt infected.
Okay, so this is going to be a spray paint one.
You just go side to side like so. Alright, so paint back on it.
Ah, come on.
You're going to need to hold the can upright a little bit more.
Yeah.
I was really surprised with the amount of paint that was being applied, how well this ended up turning out.
Sure this is
The problem with putting too much paint on is it will soak into the material and start to bleed out to the sides through the material itself.
keep going on that one.
So it's important not to put too much on. You also want to make sure there is enough on so that it's the color you want.
Spray back in. Doesn't smell like that.
Oh, you said smell good or sound good?
That looks good, right?
We'll see when we pull the stencil off.
Yeah, oh, I see what you're
Alright, let's see.
That one went back nicely. Look at that. Look at the detail. I didn't think the detail was going to come out in this like it did.
Alright, Brian, and now you
Wow.
like that F or yeah, that's real crisp.
That's, I think that was the coolest.
Take this guy here. Get a little bit in there.
Check
And
the
just,
width. That's fine.
It better be. It's already been started.
Yeah.
okay, you don't want to get much heavier than that. You're
Okay.
going to be tempted to make it really heavy. It's just going to make it worse. So just about that thick.
This is the daubing method, where you take some fabric paint and you just daub it onto the template. The advantage to this is you can do different colors and such like that. The disadvantage is it takes quite a bit longer. This ended up turning out fairly nicely, even with the excessive amount of paint that was getting daubed on.
I thought I was gonna over, yeah.
Here's the t-shirt that I did. I used the thin disposable templates that we made out of the 20 weight paper. It worked really well. I did this on the back of the t-shirt, and in the morning I'm going to do one on the front. It took a while for this stuff to dry. It was kind of humid. We'll just take a look at some of these t-shirts that we did, and this project worked really well. It's not too difficult, and the quality turned out great. Here's one that someone did with daubing, where they used 3 different colors, kind of a purplish color, green color, and white. And you might notice a little bit of sparkle in that as well. Great job, Brooke.
Be careful around the K because it's kind of like remade the K.
Here's what mine looked like after I got the stencil on the front. Let it hang out to dry. This was a great project. Thanks for coming up with this, Joel. If you like this content, think about subscribing to the channel and or just liking the video. Anyway, I hope that this was inspiring to you, and maybe I'll give you some ideas of doing some t-shirts. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects.
Oops.